Good evening, and welcome to the March 15th
Wait.
meeting of... Oop. Good evening, and welcome to the March 15th meeting of the Solon Board of Education. Mr. Buchanan, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Thomas.
Here.
Mr. Heckman.
Here.
Mrs. Glavin.
Here.
Mr. Patton.
Here.
Mrs. Moses.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In accordance with Board Policy 0169, this meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered to be a public community meeting. Due to the virtual nature of the following meeting and in accordance with state law, we are foregoing the traditional period of public comment. Should anyone from the public have comments that they would like to share with the board, please email those comments to info@solonboe.org. Again, that is info@solonboe.org. Just as a mention to our audience, board members do receive and review the agenda and the accompanying explanation during the week prior to the Monday board meeting. Is there any public comment, Mr. Bolden?
There is not, Ms. Levin.
Great, thank you. We will have another opportunity later in the meeting. Moving into the treasurer's report, item A1, approval of minutes. Recommended motion to approve the minutes of the special and regular meetings of February 22nd, 2021. May I have a motion, please? Moved by Mrs. Thomas, second by Mrs. Moses. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none, Mr. Buchanan, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Thomas.
Yes.
Mrs. Moses.
Yes.
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Mr. Patton.
Yes.
Mrs. Glavin.
Yes. Item A2, approval of bills. Recommended motion to approve the payment of bills totaling $4,204.52 as noted in enclosure A2. Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Heckman, second by Mr. Patton.
Yes, we have several security-related expenditures for this meeting. And again, I think a lot of this speaks to, in particular, with the Solon Police Department communication expenditure. We are able to communicate directly with the police in the event of an emergency. Our partnership with the police continues to remain strong, and they've been a real positive force in our schools. So we're happy to have them with us.
Any questions? Mr. Buchanan?
Mr. Heckman.
Yes.
Mr. Patton.
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas.
Yes.
Mrs. Moses.
Yes.
Mrs. Glavin.
Yes. Item A3, estimating the amount of active and inactive monies. Recommended motion to approve the resolution estimating the amount of active and inactive monies of the Solon City School District to be awarded for the period of July 1, 2021 through June 30, 2026, as noted in enclosure A3. Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Moses, second by Mrs. Thomas.
Yes, this is something we did back in 2016.
Yeah, it's been a while.
In 2011, before that, based on the Ohio Revised Code, this is something you need to do at a minimum every 5 years. This is the way that governmental entities go about making sure that they refresh, relook, re-examine what's going on with the banking world today, where your monies are being housed. Just making sure that you explore your options, and that it's a way to communicate with the banks and the financial institutions also. Hey, this is what our investment policy is in case there were changes at leadership in the banks, in case there were changes in the investment policy itself based on recommendations from the Ohio Attorney General's office or the Auditor's office. So this is the first of two resolutions. And the final resolution coming up in a couple board meetings will be that will name the financial institutions that will take part in this.
Okay, great. Good. Are there any questions? Mr. McCann?
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. Item A4, tax rates for the tax year 2021. Recommend motion to accept the tax rates for the tax year 2021 as determined by the Cuyahoga County Budget Commission and authorize the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor as followed, and they are listed below. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Patton.
Second.
Second by Mr. Heckman.
Yes, this is another annual item, in which case it's us as a school district, we communicate as the governmental entity with the Cuyahoga County fiscal office and the Budget Commission to basically reconcile what we believe the tax rates should be based on what's been voted. There are no changes in the tax rates compared to the previous year. This is exactly what these are exactly what the tax rates were last year.
Okay, good. Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, Mr. McCann, we call the roll, please?
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes, that concludes the treasurer's report. Moving into the superintendent's report, item B1, contract approval, OPSI. Recommended motion to approve a contract between the Solon Board of Education and the Ohio Education of Public School Employees for the period of July 2021 through June 30, 2022. The Board of Education and the Ohio Association of Public School Employees have agreed on a new one-year contract. The salary for the 1 year will remain as follows, and that's a 0% raise during that period of time. May I have a motion, please?
Move.
Moved by Mrs. Thomas.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Moses.
Yes, if you'll recall, 2 board meetings ago, we had the board ratified an agreement between our teachers union and the board to have a 0% raise for next year, just to give us, with all the uncertainty that's happening with COVID and understanding the financial uncertainties that everybody is going through and how difficult times are for everyone. Our teachers union understood that, and they agreed, let's press pause on negotiations for this year. Let's do a 1-year contract for a 0% increase and move forward. Well, our classified union, those are people like our bus drivers, our food service workers, our custodial staff, our maintenance workers, our clerical staff, all of our classified workers, they agreed, they saw that as well, and they supported maintaining a 0% freeze in wages for next year. All the rest of the contract will remain the same going through it. I can't thank them enough. I can't thank them having a strong understanding of what's going on with the community and what we need to do. And this gives us the breathing room to help us do the things we need to for our kids and can help us moving forward for the next year. And I just wanted to thank all of them for doing this as well. And I wholeheartedly recommend us approving this.
Well, and I think that, as a board, we certainly appreciate that as well. I mean, this is a large group of very integral employees to our district that makes everything run and work smoothly, and they are really an important part of what we do every day. So, the fact that they are on board and are approving this is really beneficial for the district and for the community. So, please, convey that to them as well. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, Mr. McCann?
Let's see here. Yes, Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. Item B2, Director of Pupil Personnel. Recommended motion to approve a contract for Mrs. Carrie Root as the Director of Pupil Personnel is noted in enclosure B2. Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Heckman, second by Mr. Patton.
Yes, Mrs. Glavine, this is exciting. If you recall, we saw a couple meetings ago again that Ms. Page was retiring after a long and successful career service for us. But this is the story that we continually tell in our district, where we develop our leaders from within, we find strong candidates, we nurture them, we give them opportunities to show, and this is another great example of that. Ms. Root has been with us for almost 2 decades now. She's incredibly intelligent, strong leader, well respected by all of her peers, has an incredible depth of knowledge, of our pupil personnel environment and the things that we need to do to help our students. And we think she's going to develop and grow to be someone that's going to be with us for the next 2 decades again, to really be that glue that holds together this department. And we're really excited to have her.
Very good, thank you. Any questions? Comments? Seeing none, Mr. McKenna?
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. Item B3, public hearing and consideration of reemployment, OPSI. Recommended motion to rehire retired employee Ken Metzger for 1 year as noted in the collective bargaining agreement between the Solon Board of Education and the Ohio Education of Public Service Employees, complying with the Ohio Revised Code 3307353. Members of the public are invited to provide input to the board on the issue of reemployment of the above employee. After input, the board will act on the resolution. May I have a motion, please?
moved.
Moved by Mr. Patton, second by Mrs. Thomas.
Yes, we had announced this. Consideration and this public hearing announcement several meetings ago. This is the next statutory time frame where we actually have the meeting for if people have public comment about consideration for this, and then we will have a subsequent meeting where we will act on the rehire activity.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Mr. McKenna?
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. Before notice of public hearing. Was that what I just did? No. I'm on 4, right?
Yep.
Yeah, 4. So I thought they were looking the same thing. Recommended motion to approve the retirement and rehiring of the following individual for the retire-rehire incentive that is part of the collective bargaining agreement for the Solon Board of Education and the Ohio Association of Public School Employees, complying with Ohio Revised Code 3307353, which requires the notification of a hearing to be conducted at the regularly scheduled board meeting of May 10, 2021, at the Solon Board of Education offices, and that person is Richard Alemo. May I have a motion, please?
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Thomas, second by Mr. Heckman.
Yes, speaking of meetings, this is the announcement of the meeting that we are going to have.
They were all looking the same.
So similar to the thing that we are doing for Ken Metzger, we will, in a subsequent meeting, actually have this public hearing, and that's the sequence that we follow.
Good. Any questions? Mr. Buchanan?
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Patton? Yes. Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. Item B5, administrative retirement. Recommend motion to approve the retirement of Scott Hatterberg, principal at Solon Middle School, effective July 1, 2021. Scott has been with the district for 31 years. May I have a motion, please?
So
Move.
Moved by Mr. Heckman, seconded by Mrs. Moses.
Yes, Mrs. Glavin, this came as a small surprise for us. Scott was actually committed for 1 additional year as part of his retire-rehire component that he had done. So he was going to be with us for the following school year to go through it. He came to me last week and said he thought about it a lot with his wife, and he really felt like this was the right time for him to go. He wants to pursue some other things. His family, he's got a growing family now as his kids are getting older, and he wants to spend time with them. And he has spent 31 years with us, and he started out as a math teacher for us. He was an assistant principal for a long, long time. And then he finally had an opportunity to be the principal at Solon Middle School. He was an excellent employee for us. We will be missing him. Debbie and I are already deeply in discussions about making the changes necessary to fulfill this. But it came about us pretty quick. We found out about it last week. So we did have plans. We're just going to accelerate those now. And we hope to be communicating to the board and the community in the coming weeks about our plan going forward.
Scott has been a valued employee for many, many years in the district, and I know we all hate to see him go, but after 31 years, I guess we have to just wish him well and say thank you
Absolutely.
very much.
Yep.
Good. Is there any other questions or comments? Mr. Buchanan?
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. Item B6, disability retirement. Recommended motion to approve the disability retirement of Eden Meals, psychologist at Orchard Middle School, effective April 1, 2021. Eden has been with the district for 16 years. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. Moses, second by Mr. Patton.
Yes, it seems like we're having a lot of changes lately.
know,
It
this is
seems like they keep
a
coming.
lot going on here.
Eden is another long-standing employee for us who's done a fabulous job as a school psychologist for us. We wish her well as she works on her health. And again, it's a choice she needed to make. We're going to miss her a lot, but we do wish her the best.
Great, thank you. Any questions? Mr. McKenna?
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavin?
Yes. Item B7, classified retirement. Recommended motion to approve the retirement of Violet McCoon, food service at Solon High School, effective July 1, 2021. Violet has been with the district for 29 years. May I have a motion, please?
Move.
Moved by Mrs. Thomas.
Second.
Second by Mr. Heckman.
Yes, I know Joe always said to me, we're a destination district.
I guess.
We're a place where people come, they put down roots, and they stay. Violet is somebody who did just that. She is just, you're not going to find a harder worker. You're not going to find somebody who's not just a wonderful person. I know when I
I
would
don't know
see
if
her.
they can do that at the high school without Violet there. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
It is just, well, she was
I
in
don't know.
charge of, we would see her here pre-COVID. She'd always come in and she'd refill our snack area here and going through it. Always such a positive person, always such a hard worker. She is also going to be greatly missed.
She will. Any other questions or comments? Mr. McCann, will you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavin?
Yes. Item B8, certified resignations. Recommended motion to approve the resignations of Leanne Lugers, math resource teacher at Solon Middle School, and Elaine Swope, Spanish teacher at Solon High School, effective August 31, 2021. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Moses, second by Mr. Patton.
Yes, Mrs. Glavin, both of these teachers are currently on family leaves for this year, for this school year. We had granted them a leave last year for this school year. They have opted to not exercise their prerogative to come back and have instead chose to resign.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Mr. McCann?
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavin?
Yes. Item B9, substitutes. Recommended motion to approve the following individuals as substitutes on an as-needed basis for the 2020-21 school year. May I have a motion, please?
Move.
Moved by Mrs. Thomas,
Second.
second by Mr. Heckman.
As I have said at every meeting since we started this school year, we are always in desperate need of substitutes.
Still.
And still,
Always.
even with our teachers being vaccinated and going through it, we're hoping that would be lessened. But if you need to be if you have a desire to be a sub and you want to come help us out, you can fill out the paperwork, you can apply with the state. Once that clears and then we vetted you, we can bring you on board on an as-needed basis to work for us. And you can find all that on our website.
Great. Thank you. Any questions? Mr. McKenna?
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavin?
Yes. Item B10, home instruction tutors. Recommended motion to approve Crystal Catarini, Tim Kane, Jeff Grimm, Camille Keys, Vicki Maslow, Teresa Pace, and Chad Ramlow as home instruction tutors for the 2020-21 school year. Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Moses.
Second.
Second by Mr. Patton.
Yes, Mrs. Glavin, these are people who we hire for specific students that cannot access the curriculum either virtually or in person. And we are obligated by law to allow them to make up the time that they have lost. And we hire these people for that specific reason. And then when we're done with that student, they then are done with that activity.
Great. Thank you. Any questions? Mr. McCann, would you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavin?
Yes. Item B11, supplemental contracts. Recommended motion to approve supplemental contracts to the following individuals, and they are listed below. May I have a motion, please?
Move.
Moved by Mrs. Thomas,
Second.
second by Mrs. Moses.
Yes, we'd approved most of the spring sports contracts at our last board meeting. These are people, either we had people that resigned from their positions or that were not filled yet, and then we subsequently were able to get people to fill in for those positions, and that's what you see here.
Thank you. Any questions? Mr. McCann?
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavin?
Yes. Item B10, non-district pupil activity permit. Recommended motion to approve a non-district pupil activity permit contract to the following individual listed below. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Patton, seconded by Mr. Heckman.
Yes, this is again a position that remained unfilled as of our last board meeting. We were able to find someone that was to step up and be the SMS Girls Lacrosse coach. He is outside the district, and as such, he gets a non-district pupil activity permit for this particular position.
Great, good, thank you. Any questions? Mr. Buchanan?
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. Item B13, bid award. Recommend a motion to approve a contract to Terrick Roofing, the lowest responsible bidder for the Solon High School Roof 23 replacement project in the amount of $655,131. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Moses, second by Mrs. Thomas.
Yes, I'm actually going to talk about the next 6 items right now, so that as we go through them, we can go through them. We have a lot of construction work that's going on this summer
A lot of bid awards.
that we go through. We do. We have a lot of bid awards. We actually will have several. We'll have at least one more at our next board meeting, and then several more probably after that. This covers all of our exterior envelope work that we were doing. That's roofs, walls, doors, windows, that type of work. What we had to do is, in preparation for next year, and because of things that we need to do to make sure as more kids are coming into schools, we supplemented a lot of our work with HEPA filters. You can see them. There's one sitting right over there. We supplemented these HEPA filters in rooms because our ventilation, in particular at our high school, wasn't always up to the full standards that we needed. So in any of those places, we would do that. Well, what we found was, in addition to roofs that were in badly need of repair just because of their age, we also had places where HVAC equipment, very large pieces of HVAC equipment, also needed to be replaced so that we could bring our ventilation up to code. And in those cases, it made sense to replace roofs in those areas where we needed to do that as well.
anyway.
So as you look at the majority of these projects, they are dealing with roofs that need to be replaced and roofs that are very close to end of life that are getting replaced because the equipment that is on them needs to be replaced in order to bring our ventilation up to code. So all of these projects that we are talking about here, save one, are all dealing with those components of either roofs or HVAC.
Good, then I can go through these and just not have.
What we
any
can
of the
do
other
is,
ones
I won't,
require any
what
more
I'll
comment?
do is, we're gonna approve this one, and then we'll go through
Okay,
each
you
subsequent
have
one,
something
but
to add.
then
You wanna do that?
I will.
Mr. Bowler, I'm just curious, is it, I'm gonna take a guess, 5 years that this has been going on now, or 4? You started it all way back when with this?
Oh, gosh, well, certain of these projects I started 8 years ago
8 years.
when we evaluated all the roofs in the district, and it's almost 9 now, where we evaluated every roof of the district, and we developed a sequence for replacement based on their age, based on the physical condition of those roofs, based on warranty timings. So, yeah, it's there. I'm so excited to say that Mike Acom is the one who did all the work on these, and he did a fabulous job at putting all this stuff together for
Great.
us. So I was very glad that this year he was doing it.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Are there any other questions on B13 then? Mr. Buchanan, why don't you call the roll for that one?
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. B14, recommended motion to award a contract to NF Mansudo and Sons, the lowest responsible bidder for the SHS Roofs 3, 3A, 3B replacement project in the amount of $1,371,972. May I have a motion, please? Moved by Mr. Patton,
Second.
second by Mrs. Moses. Anything additionally on this one?
No, Mrs. Glavine.
Any other questions then?
No, you know what, I just like to see it, that we're being proactive the way we've always been, but we're right on top of this, especially over time, and who knows what's next.
Get it on top, the roof?
Pardon?
Mr. Patton was just being kind of funny there. Well, and again, we talk about this, and it really is, a great tribute to, and we're thankful to our community to having permanent improvement levies over the years that provide the necessary capital to be able to do these things. And not only to do that, but to be able to plan ahead and do it proactively, early on so that we get better pricing. So again, thanks to our community for our ability to be able to do these things. Mr. Buchanan, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. Item B15, bid award. recommend a motion to approve a contract to the NF Mensudo and Sons, the lowest responsible bidder for the SHS roofs 10A, 10C, and 11 replacement project in the amount of $690,968. Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Heckman and second by Mrs. Moses. Anything additionally, Mr. Bolden? Good?
No, this represents the last of the high school roofs,
Okay.
and then the next ones will actually be our middle school.
Questions then? Mr. Buchanan?
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. All right, B16 bid award. Recommend a motion to approve a contract to Wilhelm Roofing, the lowest responsible bidder for the dual school roofs 2A, 3A replacement project in the amount of $878,577. May I have a motion, please? Moved by
Second.
Mrs. Thomas, second by Mr. Patton.
Yes,
Moving on to middle school, huh?
we are moving on to the middle school. And the thing I want to mention about the middle school, and then that's part of these are the middle school, part of these are Parkside. These are the actual original roofs from when the building was built in '91. So the roofs are there, and they were through a tornado on top of that. And they were
Adds a new
basically,
dimension to what we call the new school.
yes, we call it the new school, but
Yeah,
we
the
have
new school.
teachers working for us that were born
There.
when this building was built. So it's not that new. So absolutely.
All right. Any questions? Mr. Buchanan?
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. Item B17, bid award. Recommend a motion to award a contract to Warren Roofing, the lowest responsible bidder for the dual school roof 6 and 6A replacement project in the amount of $680,000. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Heckman, second by Mrs. Moses. Any other questions? Mr. Buchanan?
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. B18, bid award. Recommend a motion to a contract to Miss Sally Glass, the lowest responsible bidder for the Solon Middle School exterior doors and concrete replacement project in the amount of $87,577. May I have a motion, please?
Move.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Thomas, second by Mr. Patton.
Yes, I would add in this particular, this is at Orchard Middle School now, so we're across the street. This will represent now every door, every window in the entire building will now have been replaced with intruder-resistant glass, secure doors that are also more energy efficient. And this represents a project that we started probably 4 or 5 years ago when we started with the interior remodel of
Right,
Orchard.
Orchard, yeah.
And now we are finally putting a period on that particular project.
Great, good, thank you. Any,
Well, so this really will be a sequencing challenge for Mr. Acom to put
Yeah.
in 6 roofs in the summer.
He has a very busy summer ahead of him.
I was just gonna say,
Could you imagine putting together that calendar of work?
I will be there to help him, but I will be mostly laughing.
Smiling.
yeah, smiling away, that's right. Good, any other questions or comments? Mr. Buchanan?
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. Item B19, tuition reimbursements. Recommend a motion to approve tuition reimbursements to the following individuals, and they are listed below. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Moses.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Thomas.
Mrs. Glavine, these were previously approved, and they do meet our district criteria.
Thank you. Any questions? Mr. Buchanan?
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavine?
Yes. That concludes our business items, a lot of them tonight. Whew. Information items and other reports to the board. Item C1.
Oh, yes.
Solon High School seniors inducted into National Honor Society. Mr. Bolden?
This is some very exciting. I've got several really good, feel-good news items here. I was on Friday. We live streamed it, and I was there. We inducted 63 students into our National Honor Society during our fall induction. We have a spring induction for our juniors, and then we have a fall induction for our seniors to get into the National Honor Society. This year, I think there's a few more this year because of COVID and other things that had happened. We have a few more seniors this year, but it's really exciting. There are 4 pillars to the National Honor Society. We talk about character, leadership, scholarship, and service. It's not just about getting good grades. It's about being a leader of yourself. It's about actions. It's about showing good character. It's about being of service to others and the 63 individuals that got this, I know many of them. I watched them from little babies when they were at Lewis, and I know many of them, seeing them grow up now. They're just amazing young men and women, and I'm sure they're going to be doing wonderful things, and I just wanted to give them a heartfelt congratulations for the hard work.
Great, I'm sure their parents are very proud of them, and we certainly are all too. I didn't realize that our National Honor Society was founded in 1951.
Yep. 70 years.
Quite a history.
Yikes. All right, item C2, Solon Speech and Debate Team takes second place at states, qualifies school record number of team members for the Nationals. Do you want to take that one on too, Mr. Bolton?
I absolutely will, quite happily.
I was just going to say, it's your deal.
I know many of these kids, and I know how hard they work, and I know what they've done this year. I can tell you that virtual speech and debate is one of the activities that we have that Dan Cece and his team have really been able to pivot so that they can have a very active and very involved speech and debate during COVID without having to be in person. Lots of Zooms. I'm sure that this group of kids have the most Zoom experience that you could possibly imagine. They have special software that they use for certain tournament events, and they go through it. They've just done an amazing job this year, and it really shows when you think about this year has been filled with success for them. They went undefeated in the regular season this year.
Oh, nice.
Start to finish, they went placed first out of every one of the 13 tournaments that they went to. They qualified 20 students to the National Speech and Debate. That's more than we've ever sent to the National Speech and Debate Tournament. This year it will be virtual. But it's really exciting. Our best showing up until then, I think, was only 13 people. So it's really good. We had
7 went to state?
We had 67 kids become state qualifiers, and we're going to post these on our district website. But we had champions, third place, second place runner-ups in almost every discipline that we had competitors in. They really just killed it this year. They were absolutely amazing, and just all the congratulations in the world to them.
Good. Awesome job.
Great job. Not easy.
No, it's not. All right. Item C3, COVID update.
Yes. I feel like we do this every time, which
we
we're
seem
going to be doing as we go through.
Been a year
But
now.
this year is this particular report is very exciting for me. Last week was the first week since October that we had no cases in adults and no cases in students of people having COVID.
Great.
It's really awesome, but
Good.
I want to make sure that we keep that in context. We're headed into spring break. People are feeling really good about not having any cases. Let's hope there's no cases this week. Tammy, do you know if we've had any yet this week? We're still at 0 right now, but it is only Monday.
And we have St. Patrick's Day.
We have St. Patrick's Day coming. We need to be incredibly vigilant as we're coming back. We are preparing to come back. The governor's made it clear that we've gotten all of our teachers vaccinated. Monday, when we return from break, we'll be coming back to 5 days a week in person for all grade levels, kindergarten through 12th grade. Our preschool has already been coming in their regularly scheduled time since the beginning of the school year. But K through 12 now, we will be coming back 5 days a week. The main reason we were able to do that is that we had about 46% of our high schoolers opt to come back to in-person. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be a regular school.
Right.
It's still, everybody's masked, everybody's distanced. I was talking to one of my neighbors whose son opted to not come back, and he said, well, I can't socialize with my friends in the hallway, and I can't hang out in the lunchroom, so why am I going to come back to school?
There you go.
But for a lot of our kids, it's something that they need. They need that regularity. They need that in-person contact, and we want to offer it to them. And because there's only 46% coming back at the high school, we are able to keep the spacing and the distancing necessary to keep the kids safe is coming back. So starting on Monday, the Monday we come back from break, we'll be coming back. We're doing the same thing at Solon Middle School. They're at about, I want to say 57%, 55 to 57%, right around there. And again, because of that building and that number of kids coming back, we are able to shift to 5 days a week. At Orchard, where we are at 4 days a week, we are adding that 5th day back in.
Good, I was gonna ask about
An adjustment to the distancing requirements, taking a really hard look at all the spaces that we had to utilize. And with the number of kids coming back there, only at about 80% there, we were able to shift us to a 5-day-a-week model for those kids. And as always, for our kindergarten through 4th grade students, we have been 5 days a week since we came back for them, and we're able to maintain that. We did have to move some kids around again. We did have to make some adjustments so that we could maintain the distancing and the spacing required, but we're able to bring the kids back, so every family that wanted to come back, that they can. And so that's what we're going to be doing.
Good.
It's really critical, though, as we're coming back, that the state has lifted the restrictions on quarantining when you're traveling from other states. They're asking us to look to the CDC guidelines for what we should be doing for any kind of international travel that goes on. We've communicated to families that have notified us that they are traveling, but we encourage everyone that if you've traveled outside or you're in a place that was considered a hot zone or going through it, please follow those CDC guidelines, quarantine, test, do the things that you need to do. Don't jeopardize what we're going to be doing on March 29th by not following the guidelines, not checking your students, your children for symptoms before you send them to school. It's important that we maintain these things. Our teachers may be vaccinated, but our students are not. And that's an important thing about this, is we need to make sure we're keeping our students safe. The governor has shown, and studies have shown, that masking and distancing work. And so we are maintaining all of those guidelines. But the only way we can make this happen is if everybody at home does their part so that what we have in place can happen. So we're excited to bring people back to school.
guess.
We're excited to have some more activities to open some things up, especially as the weather gets better and we can move things outdoors. You know, we're planning graduation. We're planning prom. We're planning other activities that are going on at the other buildings now. We're excited to have kids and kind of return to at least some semblance of normalcy. And it is our hope that that is going to continue down that path so that hopefully we can get to at least, if not a perfectly normal school year next year, we can get to something closer to normal than we've had this year. We're all very excited for it. I know we're exhausted, but the end is in sight. We are so close.
Well,
And we
folks,
just
it
need
is-
to
Folks, it has
be tough.
been a very long year, a very long year for everyone, not just school people, but for parents, for everyone. And I would really I think we would be remiss if we didn't recognize our staff and our teachers and our administrators, Mrs. Siegel, Mr. Bolden, everyone who, I don't even know if there's words that can do justice to how hard everyone has worked and what an absolutely phenomenal job people have done to try to keep everyone together and on the same pathway and connected through this really difficult time. And I just, as the board president, I would really like to recognize everyone in this school district for doing just an amazing job. And that includes parents and community members, because everyone has been patient and understanding and tried hard. And it's just been a lot. A lot. And Mr. Bolden, words fail on how much everyone in the district has appreciated central office, and I hope you can convey that. I know I plan to send something out to the staff as well, but it's been really remarkable.
I appreciate it, but truly, it's our staff that's done it. They have really, they have had to work in conditions that no teachers have ever had to work in before. And they've had to do things that no teachers ever had to do before. Teaching simultaneously is not easy. One of the reasons why 46% of the kids came to school is because our teachers have done such a good job of making the virtual versus in-school experience equivalent. If I can get the same instruction, that's why they're doing it.
I mean,
They're getting the best possible teaching that we can offer, and it's kudos to them and the hard work that they've been doing.
Great.
We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Is there anything else, Mr. Bolden?
No, Mrs. Glavin.
Mrs. Siegel?
No, Mrs. Glavin.
Mr. Buchanan?
No, Mrs. Glavin.
Ms. Moses?
Not today.
Nothing?
No, thank you.
Benton? Mrs. Town? Mr. Heckman?
Nothing at this time.
Great, thank you. At this time, we will have one other public comment. Anything, Tammy, that's come in?
No, Ms. Glevin.
I will entertain a motion for an adjournment.
Move.
Moved by Mrs. Thomas, second by Mrs. Moses. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mrs. Moses?
Yes.
Mr. Heckman?
Yes,
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Glavin?
Yes, thank you, and thank you for joining us.
thank you.
Thanks.